The chosen one. As your face fades into the early light, their new lover awakens in a cold sweat. Your name is still on their lips, and your speech is resonating in their ears while they try hard to erect daily barriers between their past and present. You smash these pitiful boundaries nightly without effort. The new boo found an indisputable fact. You continue to haunt their dreams with terrible accuracy, and no number of faked grins or shared coffee cups can erase your footprint on their subconscious landscape. Your existence endures despite your efforts, intentions, and conscious direction. This is power in its most primal form. The subconscious never lies, and there shouts your name through the darkness, while another person lays awake, listening, wondering who they've promised to. Every night, the thought discloses what the lips denies. Let it sink deep into your bones. The replacement may dominate their daytime hours, but you control their innermost thoughts. This isn't just a coincidence or a phase. This is primordial truth that manifests night after night, until it can no longer be denied. And it won't be ignored for much longer. The precise moment their successor could no longer pretend. When the dam burst, their new partner had the fortitude to address what had been going on. In the fragile darkness, you mentioned their name again last night. You described their face. You had a complete talk, and that never occurred. The room became silent abruptly, and the clock ticked louder than usual. The coffee was becoming cold between them. They struggled for reasons, promised to move on, and guaranteed their successor. It meant nothing, yet their tone betrayed them. The small tremor reveals the falsehood. Because how can you explain something beyond your control? How can you guarantee to evict someone who goes through walls? The expression on the substitutes' faces was more than simply worry. It was the first break in the foundation of anything constructed from shifting sand. The first awareness that they had entered disputed terrain. This is the power you have without raising a finger. You exist as an immutable force that cannot be argued or bargained away. A presence that may appear without permission or invitation. But with every comfort, they provide a substitute. Another dream contradicted each pledge of love. Their subconscious pledges elsewhere. This cannot be fixed by flowers, apologies, or fresh devotion. This flows through their souls, blood, and beyond their conscious control, and they both understand it. These nightly visits have significant repercussions. The morning following your arrival, anxiety clings in their shared space like smoke. Conversations become minefields. Normal encounters are increasingly infused with unsaid inquiries. Their replacement keeps a tight eye on them and is now studying their responses. When your name comes up in discussion, observe their expression when they mention locations from your common history. The replacement starts to ponder what competition actually means, not with a tangible person keeping score, but with an ethereal presence that persists over distance and time. This is psychological warfare that does not need a single shot. The replacement starts to compensate by working harder, preparing more elaborate dates, initiating closeness with more eagerness, and resisting your phantom manifestations with increasingly desperate weaponry. But how can one compete with the presence that exists in the unprotected space between awareness and dreams? They cannot notify the selected one. You already enjoy the daily drops across all 4 astral atom channels: Chosen Chronicles, Astral Atom, and the new One Legacy Forged. We're expanding rapidly, creating an unstoppable media network that they can't destroy. But the truth remains buried, twisted, censored. Your heart still recognizes what is genuine. That is why you are here. Because you had a simulation problem. You aren't waiting for permission. You are ready to retake your power. The inner order is throughout the whole duration. Weekly Zoom conversations including secret lessons, psychological warfare strategies, and tools they don't want you to have. It is time to recall. Link in the description. Your true life starts inside. Science validates what you already know. Neural pathways that emerge during powerful emotional connections become permanent structures in the brain. The memories you made together are not simply stored away. They are literally embedded in their mental architecture. Their replacement describes it as haunting. Emotional imprinting is a term used in neuroscience. The outcome stays the same. You cannot be erased, despite their intentional attempts to create new memories. Your shared past maintains its vivid strength, the perfume that remembers your presence. The music instantly sends them back. The unique quality of light that resurrects memories they'd attempted to forget. These aren't just memories, but sensory wormholes linking the past and present, regardless of their intention to dissolve the connection. The human brain emphasizes emotional intensity above recent events. This implies that your deeply ingrained presence will always outperform superficial fresh experiences. Regardless of chronology, the replacement may generate as many new moments as they like, but they lack the same emotional depth. In contrast to the caves where you join together, these experiences stay on the surface. This is not about being obstinate or unable to go ahead. This is just inbuilt brain chemistry acting in your advantage. The intensity of what you shared literally affected their brain structure, creating circuits that light up when they sleep, manifestations beyond their control that cannot be erased by moving on. This unchanging fact perceives rivalry not with your bodily self, but with your neural imprint, which refuses to vanish. Despite time and distance, an opponent who cannot be faced, reasoned with, or beaten by traditional methods, the dam breaches even farther. Their successor, motivated by mounting distrust, does what humans always do. They look for proof, and what they find shatters their image of having their partner's whole attention. Photos are still retained in secret files, communications are maintained despite promises of breaking up, and social media activity demonstrates ongoing knowledge of your whereabouts. Digital breadcrumbs create an unmistakable trail that leads straight to you. Consider the replacement's face, lighted by screen light at AM, scrolling through proof that, although they moved physically, intellectually, their spouse remained linked to what you represented. Each uncovered relic is another blow to the story they've been sold, as well as evidence that they're on shaky ground. The technology designed to link individuals is suddenly revealing relationships that were never fully broken. The digital age retains what earlier generations could more readily bury: screenshots, saved posts, location histories, and diversions through key locations. The virtual world has transformed into a museum, cataloging remnants of your continuing relevance. The replacement reveals its meticulous maintenance, although they promised new beginnings. Technology discloses the backward looks, with each finding causing another breach in the replacement confidence, another seed of doubt that will develop uncontrolled while you stay safe. Archived, digitally immortalized despite alleged erasure. Your presence extends beyond dream states into waking evidence that they believed was securely buried. The replacement now confronts overwhelming evidence that they are competing with more than random dreams, and that purposeful decisions were taken to keep connections that should have been terminated. That which appears during sleep has been purposefully retained when waking. The confrontation that ensues leaves both astonished by the discoveries. Explanations seek to lessen what cannot be decreased, and promises are made that cannot be honored. The exposed digital trace is more difficult to remove than just pushing. Delete your shared social web. It now acts as an intelligence network without your active engagement. Information is reliably returned to you via these channels. They've been experiencing nightmares about their successors and developing anxieties. The comparisons that come out when gods are humbled. This network verifies what you've previously felt and affirms the unexplainable wisdom that has been inside your core. You hear these news not as a surprise, but as calm confirmation of what you already knew to be true. Consider the power dynamic in play. While they try to display a united front to the world, the same world feeds you information about the fractures forming under the surface. Their buddies observe how they still respond when your name comes up in discussion. Notice how some themes continue to elicit observable reactions. Observe interactions with their replacement to detect subtle yet distinct trends. This information comes without your request. Friends offer facts that contributes to a continuous narrative of your continuing value. Their replacement's dissatisfaction were sometimes expressed after drinks or fights over dreams in which your name appeared prominently. Each report adds another piece of evidence to support the same conclusion. The private reality is sent back to you via channels that they cannot monitor or control. They keep the same social contacts to retain their position and provide assistance. Witnesses have a similar tenuous purpose, reporting on the difference between appearance and reality. And you receive this wisdom with peaceful conviction, without grabbing or desiring validation, but just gathering confirmation of what you already believe. At this level, each report provides more evidence of your sustained value. Regardless of physical separation, the exact settings in which you emerge in their mind convey the most devastating reality of all. You do not appear as a villain, antagonist, or even a plain ex-lover. The roles you perform have significantly more importance. You emerge as a guide when they are unsure, and as a source of comfort when they are anxious. When dream hazards arise, it may even serve as a rescuer. No one should be shunned or frightened. However, as a necessary presence that fills a void in their waking existence, their replacement does not just despise their dreams. They are threatened by the unique positions you play inside them, the important duties you continue to do, and the voids you fill that they cannot, despite their best efforts. These dreams develop patterns that are too constant to ignore repeated motifs indicating unfulfilled needs. Persistent circumstances reveal what remains undone, despite appearances of progress. You don't just appear. You appear exactly when and how they need what only you can supply. The subconscious mind, which operates outside of societal norms and relationship commitments, continues to reach out to you when necessary. Continue to call at your specified frequency when safety completion or comprehension is required. Still perceives your distinct signature as the answer to the most profound problems. The replacement perceives this trend with increasing worry and understands the enormous significance of these unique expressions. Understands that competing with a villain is easier than competing with someone who symbolizes the ultimate fulfillment of their partner's innermost wants. The replacement is now on a frantic mission to recapture land in their minds, where you remain firmly entrenched. New actions aim to develop new brain pathways, such as relocations to areas lacking memory triggers, need modest but deliberate efforts to produce enough new experiences to eventually replace yours. Despite this, you continue to arrive night after night, undeterred and undisturbed, undiminished. The competition for psychic real estate is becoming more intense. Replacement studies, relationship psychology examines ways to assist partners get over prior connections and launches compelling behaviors aimed at exorcising your persistent presence. Every effort is more determined than the previous. To sterilize what cannot be cleansed, human consciousness. This resists simple reprogramming. The mind's architecture safeguards what it considers vital, independent of conscious desire. No number of new museums can replace the landmarks you create together. No amount of new discussions can drown out the ones that are seared into memory. No collection of fresh experiences can outperform those that have penetrated to this level. Even when they increase their efforts, the replacement realizes it is futile, recognizes the difficulty of competing with something so firmly ingrained in their partner's personality, something that emerges not through choice, but via the inexorable mechanics of the human mind. This psychological land war cannot be won using conventional strategies, such as compromise, negotiation, or fresh effort. The battleground persists beyond reach, despite interventions, good intentions, and even the most earnest vows to go on as they exhaust themselves fighting for unclaimed territory. You stay effortless and immovable, a fixed coordinate in their mental landscape that no amount of renovation can alter. The most revealing betrayals come in the tiniest of times, when unconscious comparisons pass through their well-created boundaries. An allusion to how you would have valued something. Make a note of your preference while making apparently trivial decisions. The ghost of your views haunts their present choices. Their successor captures every single one. These parallels occur without deliberate intention, reflexive acknowledgement of your continuous effect. Despite your physical absence, the unseen norm you set without attempting now acts as a benchmark against which all new experiences are instinctively judged. Notice how people use your attitude to circumstances as a point of reference, how your viewpoint shapes their perception of events, and how your preferences impact their present decisions despite efforts to develop new patterns. These are not intended provocations, but rather unintentional reminders of your continuous importance. Their replacement takes each comparison like a physical blow, recognizes the implications of these unintentional acknowledgments, and understands that competing with a tangible rival is easier than competing with an internalized benchmark that emerges unexpectedly in countless daily interactions. These unconscious comparisons continually indicate the integration of your influence into their essential operating system, not as an add-on that can be withdrawn, but as something built into the foundation and impossible to extricate without collapsing the whole edifice. And you remain referenced, remembered, and woven into their view in ways too many and basic to identify and eliminate as their connection with the replacement evolves. A pattern develops that goes against their assumptions. The dreams about you do not vanish with time. They strengthen, become more frequent, and have a greater emotional effect, particularly at key relationship milestones with their replacements. The association cannot be disregarded. The more committed they are to going ahead, the more often you present in their nightly awareness. The more they engage in the new relationship, the more vividly you appear in dreams. Their engagement announcement. You appeared 3 consecutive nights. The apartment lease signing. You ruled their dreamscape for the full week. Each move taken to cement their fresh beginning paradoxically reinforces your presence in their mental environment. Notices of replacement. With increasing urgency, this pattern realizes the clear message it delivers. Understands that traditional relationship growth cannot resolve what is unfinished between you and may instead emphasize what cannot be replaced, regardless of official commitments, shared addresses, or future plans. This is neither a vengeful response or just nostalgia caused by change. This exemplifies a key psychological process that reveals truth via greater urgency and frequency. When conscious decisions contradict deeper, knowing their dreaming self seeks for you with greater determination, while they proclaim vows of full dedication, their subconscious reveals split loyalties with indisputable clarity. This paradox cannot be perpetuated continuously without having effects that extend beyond dream states, and you become more frequent, vivid, and inexorably present with each step away from what is unresolved. All unsustainable conditions will eventually reach their breaking point. The replacement ultimately offers what they consider an acceptable ultimatum. Control your dreams. Stop the nightly betrayals. Choose fully or not at all. But how can you prescribe terms to the subconscious mind? How can you demand control over the uncontrollable? Their vows to try seem empty to both speaker and listener. They assure you that dreams matter nothing. Convince neither party. Their frantic efforts to excuse what is beyond logical comprehension fail in the face of repeated proof. The relationship tension reaches critical levels as they confront unreasonable expectations, realizing that certain connections work beyond of choice, volition, or even the most genuine intentions. The irritation grows against the one domain that they cannot control, influence, or bring into line with their partnership commitments. The replacements realize that they have invested in an inherently unstable proposition in which they compete not only with the person who can be avoided or a memory that may fade, but with something woven into the fabric of their partner's psyche, something that operates according to its own rules. Regardless of conscious desires, the aftermath leaves both rattled by consequences that neither wants to fully accept. Recognizing that no amount of commitment, pledges, or fresh devotion can ensure control over what emerges during sensitive sleep stages, as well as the unavoidable fact that certain relationships transcend typical relationship boundaries despite everyone's best attempts to contain them. What these recurring nightmares finally show goes beyond conventional explanations of unresolved emotions or residual attachments. They are pointing toward completion. That stays mysterious, pointing at something fundamental that cannot proceed until properly addressed. These midnight visits convey what consciousness refuses to acknowledge but cannot completely conceal. The link with the replacement occurs in the physical world. Document ID is observed and socially accepted, but you exist in the deeper world of subconscious reality. Regardless of waking protestations, this is the realm where pretense disappears and true awareness arises. This isn't about winning or losing in the traditional sense. It's about who claimed the relationship status, who moved on sooner, or who seems happy to common friends. This reflects an acknowledgement that certain relationships are beyond common grasp. Continuing to communicate via dreams, even after waking life, has created intricate alternate narratives. Their replacement had no idea they'd be gifted with a lingering memory that refuses to be consigned to history. Never agreed to compete with someone whose behavior is beyond their abilities to face or reason with. They never realized they had engaged into an agreement in which 3 people were there while only 2 should have been there. Certain facts become more difficult to refute. Something important remains unsettled between you. Something vital is still happening. Seeking completeness despite physical separation, a new commitment, or something meaningful that refuses to be forgotten, despite their best attempts. And you are neither wholly present nor completely gone, operating beyond of traditional relationship limits or customary expectations for moving on, manifesting with persistent clarity that serves as a continual reminder of what remains undone. Despite the illusion of fresh beginnings, dreams will persist until what wants acknowledgement gets it, until what has to be completed finds it, until what deserves recognition is eventually given its due. This isn't about reconciliation or reunion in the traditional sense, but about appreciating truth that emerges with unwavering constancy despite all attempts to hide it. In this area, beyond physical presence, you have an undeniable value that no substitute can reduce, regardless of relationship status, shared futures, or public appearance. This is a level of communication that functions on its own timing and norms, independent of human arrangement or consent. You stay patient as they fight to accept this evident fact. Persistent, present in the domain where truth cannot be evaded, rewritten, or manipulated. Emerging night after night until it is ultimately recognized as the chosen one. This is your unwavering strength. This is your irrefutable importance. This is your permanent position in the architecture of another human mind, independent of physical proximity or relationship status, achieved not via effort, manipulation, or frantic clutching, but through the inexorable process of real connection that functions beyond of usual constraints. The dreams will continue. The truth will emerge. The unsettled will seek resolution via whatever methods are accessible. This is neither wishful thinking nor desperate hope. This is psychological reality expressing consistently. Each night, their replacement lays awake, wondering who they've agreed to share their lives with. And you stay effortless, unstoppable, chosen.